Well, hi guys. Welcome to my first, I guess, talkover of the time lapses that I do. It's really the main content that I really enjoy watching, so I thought, well, why not make it too? I am rather awkward and my English isn't the best, but well, bear with me, okay? So for this painting, it's actually part of Art Fight, and I came across this bear, which is a species that I still haven't drawn, and it's one that I really enjoy. And not only that, but it was so, big and cuddly that it really melted my heart, so I wanted to make something big for it. I was never a big fan of comics, but I decided to try to draw a lot of panels. Well, not a lot, maybe like 3 or 4. Telling a little story because in the information about the character it said that it really enjoyed wearing flower crowns, so I thought, okay, so let's make the bear go on a little hike and then just take a nap for the rest of the evening. As for references, I'm gonna put most of them on the screen right now, but I mainly took inspiration from real life bears, and I saw this little screenshot that you usually see dogs and cats with just the big nose in front, so this would be a really cool POV from the flower standpoint of him looking for the flowers to do the crown. I also went with a picking up flowers pose just for the continuity of the thing, and then laying down because I saw this bear photo of them just squished on the ground and I thought it was so cute. Oh, and the little booty at the end was also heavily referenced. Okay, so for the background, I really wanted to try and polish it. I went for a pine tree forest because I always had a little bit of trouble with it, and as you can see, I was already drawing an inverted one, so the references were pretty important for this one. Right now I'm just really putting the colors down, but I will just change it all over again because this was at the end of my first drawing session, so I was already a little bit tired. So yeah. Anyways, I'm a sucker for mountains in the distance, so of course this one really needed some. For the grass, I will touch on it on the later panels because they're way more grass focused. Anyways, for the trees themselves, first I really tried to draw some in the distance, but I ended up not liking them, so I just removed them. As I'm not as comfortable with this type of background or just full-on illustrations, I don't get out of my comfort zone that much, so I really gotta try and get out of my comfort zone. For the pine trees, I feel like I kind of nailed them. I firstly drew the primary log, and then since they're basically triangles with the leaves facing upwards, I just put in the darker shades and then try to add some splashes of lighter green here and there, also make a few changes in hue, and I actually really like the result. These 2 trees that I did on the midground are actually from a photo because I really liked how one was super tall and thin and the other a lot chubbier, which, I don't know, makes you see the difference between, the same type of tree but having different shapes. I also tried to add different bushes or other types of trees, but I ended up not really liking them. I feel like I don't have a good grasp on their shapes as much as I do on the pine trees because, they're simply triangles, and the other types of trees are, a lot more complex shape-wise. I guess I'll leave that for another drawing or something like that. Anyways, for the grass and the flowers, I wasn't really happy with it because it ended up being the same thing, as in I'm not as comfortable, therefore I don't put as much contrast or as many bold oh my god as many bold brush strokes, that's what I meant. But I'll try to tackle it on the future panels. I really enjoyed this tree on the foreground, but I ended up having to blur it because, lenses, I guess. As a final touch, of course, I added some clouds. Once the nature of the first panel was done, I pretty much decided to go in and clean the sketches and put in the flat colors. Mainly because the grass was really prevalent in the next panels, and since it was something I didn't like as much, I decided I should take a break. For the clothing, I should mention that I have absolutely no sense of style, and it's funny because this character doesn't either. So I thought we were a perfect match. The only thing that I wanted to point out was that I added this little flower on his butt cheek, almost like he kind of ruined the shorts, but because they were his favorites or something like that, he had to sew that in, and you know, it works. The pose that I struggled with the most was really the middle pose, because I felt in the others, well, first, one of them is a rather far away shot, so you can get away with a lot. And, well, the meme sort of shot was a lot easier because the proportions are totally distorted. So if you make any mistakes, well, that's fine. The laying one was more cartoonish, and the character was overall just squished on the ground. So that was also easy. But for the sitting one, well, I couldn't find a proper reference, so that made it harder. It was mainly from my imagination, so I took a lot longer to make it. Also, this was the first character that I did with this type of body, so yeah, I I struggled a bit. Once I pretty much colored in the middle pose, I knew that there was something obviously wrong with it, and I'll give you some time to try and figure out what it is. Basically, part of his head was way too high for the skull. Usually when the heads are tilted, I tend to make one of the sides way too up, so it kind of distorts the face. So it's good if you turn your canvas side to side to spot it. This time I could actually spot it just by looking at the finished colored in version, and look at the difference. It's actually insane. One of the main things that can throw away your face, which is usually where people will look first, right? Because it has the eyes, the expressions, and you can read a lot from the character from just the face. So having the eyes lined up is so important. I swear, it really throws off so much. Alright, so for the second round of grass, this time I tried to be a little bit bolder with my strokes. I saw that in a lot of, you know, watercolored or animation backgrounds, they tend to do bigger blobs, which means focusing on the shapes first and the tones or values or hues, and then adding the detail. But, you know, I got a little nervous and just started adding little strands. For the flowers itself, it was quite easy. It was mainly, you know, just little dots, blobs, and I always tend to put in this triangular shaped ones. I really don't know the names of the flowers, but those are ones of my favorites, so I always add them up. I feel like in the last panel I could actually put a little bit more contrast, because I also had the occlusion of where he was laying down, so I think that one is my favorite patch of grass. But yeah, I still have to work on it, maybe on another piece. After that was done, I literally just had to do a little shading. I usually always put a multiply layer with the tone of the sky, or maybe a mixed. So in this case, I basically blurred in the blue of the sky on top of the character, and on the lower side I put a bit of green to, you know, show that the grass was reflecting a little bit. I know that this is the shadow, but actually the multiply layer, or more like when I use it, it makes up for most of the shading of the picture. So I really enjoy putting in different colors, and it gives such a different there I go, stirring again. Okay, because it always gives a much more, how can I say, dynamic lighting, I guess. Yeah, I just like how it looks. After that, I did a little rendering of putting, you know, just a little bit more fur over here and there, because I never get to do it with the shading. Painting the eyes, which is always my favorite part, and just adding little details like the shine of the nose and the little texture. And yeah, I guess that's it. Here's the final result. Thank you so much for watching, and let me know if you enjoyed this type of video, because, you know, I'll try to get out of my shell and do a little bit more of talkovers. I'll link the character and the owner in the description in case you'd like to check them out. And yeah, see you on the next one. Thank you so much.